Hey everyone, you ever have that heart-stopping moment when a website just won't load or an app completely freezes on you? It's funny, we totally depend on our digital world to just work, but what happens when it doesn't? Well, today we're going to talk about building your digital safety net. Let's get into the world of multi-cloud data recovery.
It's kind of the modern day nightmare, right? One minute you're deep in your workflow, streaming a show, whatever, and then next, poof, everything just stops. A big cloud outage feels like the entire digital world is just holding its breath. And believe me, the fallout from that can be huge.
Okay, let's make this real for a second. I want you to think about the most important stuff you have stored online. Work projects, all your family photos, financial records. Now, just imagine it's gone. Not just down for a few hours, but completely, totally wiped. It's a terrifying thought, and for any business, it's an absolute catastrophe waiting to happen.
And we're not just talking about an inconvenience here. We are talking about a massive financial black hole. When a company's data goes offline, literally every single second costs money. Sales grind to a halt, operations are dead in the water, and customer trust, that just evaporates. The numbers are truly staggering, which makes data recovery not just some IT problem, but a core strategy for survival.
So when you're facing that kind of risk, how do you actually protect yourself? Well, you don't just cross your fingers and hope for the best. No, you rely on a formal promise, a documented commitment that says, hey, we're going to get things back up and running.
And that promise? It's called a service level agreement, or an SLA. Honestly, the best way to think of it is as an emergency plan for your data. Just like you'd have a fire drill for a building, an SLA spells out exactly what's going to happen, who's responsible for what, and most importantly, how quickly things will get restored when a digital disaster hits. It's the official rulebook for recovery.
Okay, but here's where things get complicated. See, in today's world, most companies don't just use one cloud provider. They're using a mix of them, what we call a multi-cloud strategy. And this adds a whole new layer of complexity because not all clouds play by the same rules. A multi-cloud approach just means you're picking the best tool for the right job from different places. So you might use Amazon for its amazing storage, maybe Microsoft for its business apps, and then Google for its world-class data analytics. The upside is huge, for sure, but the challenge is that each of these giants has its own unique way of handling disaster recovery. You can't just copy and paste your emergency plan. You have to get fluent in each provider's specific rulebook.
And this chart really lays it all out. So take a look at Amazon's S3. Its versioning restore is crazy fast and lets you get super specific about which file version you want back. But all that precision has a cost. Storing every single version can easily double or even triple your storage bill if you're not careful. Then you've got Microsoft Azure. Its backup is baked right into their whole system, which is great for seeing everything in one place. But getting it set up, it can be pretty complex because you have to line up permissions and network rules across a bunch of different services. And Google Cloud, it gives you amazing flexibility, but with that freedom comes responsibility. You have to be meticulous about configuring everything, or you might find out in an emergency that your backups aren't where you thought they were. The bottom line is, there's always a trade-off between cost, complexity, and control. So, to navigate all these trade-offs, every single good recovery plan is built on two fundamental questions. Number one, how fast do we need to be back online? And number two, how much data are we actually willing to lose? These are defined by two absolutely critical metrics, RTO and RPO.
Let's break this down with these analogies, because they're perfect. The recovery time objective, or RTO, that's your stopwatch. It measures the absolute maximum amount of time your business can afford to be down after something goes wrong. Then you have the recovery point objective, or RPO. That's your rewind button. It defines the maximum age of files you need to recover to get back to normal. Basically, it answers the question, how much recent data, measured in time, are we okay with losing?
So, for example, an RTO of 1 hour is a really strict deadline. It means that from the second a critical system fails, the clock starts ticking. That entire recovery process, detecting the problem, firing up the backups, restoring the data, and then checking that it all works, all of that has to be done, and the service has to be 100% back online within that 60-minute window. No excuses. Now, an RPO of 5 minutes is all about data loss. It means that your system gets backed up so often, at least every 5 minutes, that if something breaks, you can rewind to a state from just a few moments before. And this isn't just some text setting. It's a calculated business decision. You're basically saying that losing up to 5 minutes of the latest transactions or user updates is an acceptable risk. Any more than that, unacceptable. Okay, so you figured out your RTO and RPO. You wrote up a beautiful SLA. You're done, right? Nope, not even close. A plan is totally useless if you don't know for a fact that it actually works. And that's where the fire drill comes in. Regular, tough testing.
I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. It is so true. Until you actually put your plan through its paces in a real-world scenario, all you have is a theory. You have a hope. Testing is what turns that theory into a reliable, battle-tested plan. It's the difference between hoping you'll recover and knowing you will.
So how do you test it? It's actually a pretty clear 4-step cycle. First, you plan a realistic simulation of a failure. Second, you actually go through the motions and execute the recovery process, just like it's a real emergency. Third, and this part is critical, you measure everything. Did you hit your RTO? Did you meet your RPO? How long did it really take? And finally, you use all that data to make your plan and your SLA better. Then you do it all over again.
All right, let's bring all this together. We've kind of gone on a journey here, right? From that initial panic of an outage to understanding the concrete steps you need to take to build a really resilient system. This whole thing is about moving from a state of uncertainty to a state of confidence.
So what are the big things you should walk away with today? First, an SLA is your official data recovery promise. Second, using multiple clouds means you're juggling different rulebooks, and that adds complexity. Third, RTO and RPO are your hard and fast targets for time and data loss. And finally, and maybe most importantly, regular testing is the only way to know your plan is really a plan and not just wishful thinking.
And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Whether we're talking about a huge corporation or just your own personal data, we all rely on systems that promise to keep our digital lives safe. The real question you should be asking is this: is that promise a well-rehearsed plan, or is it just a theory waiting for a disaster to prove it wrong? Thanks for joining me.